Today we're going to look at how to replace a wall outlet. For this job, we'll need a few simple things. We'll need a wall outlet of your choosing. The standard is 15 amps for most houses. Wall plates. I prefer the nylon ones as they bend instead of break. A screwdriver. I prefer a 6-in-1 like this one so you have both Phillips and flathead. A pair of pliers. And lastly, an electrical tester. I have both an outlet tester and a hot wire tester. The first thing we'll do is plug in our outlet tester to see what we're working with. In my case, since my house was built in the 40s, we can see that my outlets have an open ground. More on that later. Next, go to your breaker panel and turn off power to the room that you'll be working in. I prefer to leave my outlet tester in the outlet as I work the breaker panel as an easy way to see once the power is off. Or, also in my case, my battery backup also starts beeping. But always test your outlet before moving forward with touching any wires. Sometimes a house is wired incorrectly and doesn't have all of the outlets on the same breaker. Start off by removing the center screw on your wall plate with a flathead screwdriver. If you have squared outlets, you should have a screw at the top and bottom of the wall plate. After the wall plate is removed, you'll want to take the top and bottom screw out of the outlet itself. These should be Phillips head screws, but will change depending on the age of the outlet. Some of mine were flathead screws because they were about 30 years old. After the two screws are removed, it's time to pull the outlet away from the wall. You should have about 6 inches of extra wire to work with to pull the outlet out. I always recommend you take your electrical tester and touch it to both sides just to make sure there's no power going through it anywhere. Now it's time to actually replace the wall outlet itself. Depending on how your outlet's set up, you'll have one of 3 configurations. You'll have the one you see here, which is 2 wires on each of the terminal posts. You can have it to where there's 1 wire for each terminal post, or you'll have wires going into the back of the outlet itself into a hole. For the first 2 configurations, you'll simply unscrew the terminal and remove the wire. You can use either a Phillips head or flathead screwdriver. If the terminal is stripped out at all, a flathead will be your best bet. Once the terminal screw is loose, you can remove the wire. You may need to use your pliers or screwdriver to open up the loop on the wire some and remove it. You have the third configuration where a wire is going into the back of the outlet. You'll need to either insert a small flathead screwdriver into the slot beneath the hole, or loosen the terminal screw to release the wire. Depending on the outlet is which method we'll use. Fortunately, this is not as common as the first 2 configurations. Also, if your house is wired correctly and newer than mine, you should also have a ground screw terminal with a wire connected to it, and this connects to the green terminal. This connects the same way as the other wires, it just loops around the terminal screw. When it comes to wiring up the new outlet, it's very easy to tell where the wires are supposed to go. Outlets have a gold set of terminal screws and a silver set of terminal screws. The gold set is always the hot wire, which, providing your house is wired correctly, will be the black wire. The silver set is always the neutral wire, which would be the white wires. A ground wire is a bare copper wire that would always go to the green screw. As for why an outlet would have 2 or 4 wires going to the back of it is fortunately an easy answer. If an outlet has 4 wires going to it, that means that outlet provides power to another outlet somewhere else. This is actually one of the big reasons we check for power even after we've turned the breaker off, as sometimes people wire up their own things and will have 2 hot wires going to the outlet that are on 2 separate breakers. Do you want to get electrocuted? Because that's how you get electrocuted. Anyway, if an outlet only has 2 wires going to it, then you know that it's an outlet that is at the end of the outlet run, as it only has power going to it and does not provide power to any other outlet. After you have all of your wires reconnected to the outlet, it's time to push the outlet back into the wall, moving wires as needed, and screw the new outlet in. The screws should be Phillips head for this. Don't screw the outlet in all the way initially. You want to adjust the outlet to make sure it is squared and flat. You can see me pressing on the side of the outlet to turn it slightly. This is pushing the wires behind it some to allow it to sit flat. Once you're happy with it, tighten one side of the outlet, get it squared, or even up and down, and tighten the bottom one. The screws don't have to be extremely tight, just get them to where the outlet is snug against the wall and does not move. If you over tighten it, you'll just bend the outlet tabs, and that's not needed. Once your outlet is wired in and screwed in, go ahead and attach your new wall plate. Since I'm using rectangular outlets instead of round outlets, I have 2 screws to hold the plate in. These screws should always be flathead screws. Be careful not to over tighten these. With the nylon wall plates, it just deforms and makes it look bad, but with the plastic ones, they will break. I always tighten them to the point that I can feel a little resistance in the screw, and then back it off a hair. I also try to make sure all of my screws are vertical, as I just find that more aesthetically pleasing. Now it's time to plug in your outlet tester and go turn on your breaker to make sure everything is wired correctly. While we wait for me to go outside and turn everything back on, because my house doesn't have an internal breaker panel, I'll take a moment and ask that if you like the content I'm putting out, to make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with new content. This video is made due to the request of a viewer, so if there's something you would like to see, ask me in the comments below or join me on my Discord channel and I'll be happy to help out. Now that we have the power back on, we can see that our outlet tester lights up just like it did before, indicating we wired it as correctly as we can. Ideally, both of the orange lights would be on, but since I don't have a ground wire, I only get the middle light. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.